Alright, boys. I'm back at it again with another video. This time, I'm going to discuss why I think Joseph Pyfer is going to call out Israel Adesanya on his win after defeating Jack Hermanson. Now, Joe Pyfer isn't ranked yet, and he is going against his first ranked opponent, being Jack Hermanson. However, I think Joe Pyfer is going to dominate. I think this fight is actually going to go to decision. Um, and I know Joe Pyfer has finished pretty much everyone in round one except for, well, he's got like round two finishes, but Joe Pyfer is the real deal for everything in middleweight, at least. Middleweight's a pretty shallow division, to be honest, so it doesn't take much to be good in middleweight. But you can see here, Joe Pyfer's 28 years young, 12 and 2 is two losses or whatever. One was an injury, and the other one was against like a bum early on in his career. It doesn't matter. Dude's strong as shit as well. You can tell just because he gets a lot of KOs. You can see 8 KOs out of 12 wins. And he's got 11 finishes and one decision. I do think this fight is going to go to decision. And I'll get into why a little bit more uh, later in the video. I think the first thing you should do is call out Israel Adesanya, especially because Izzy's on a layoff. And we can see here in the UFC rankings that currently Jack Hermanson's ranked 11th. I'm assuming once Joe Pyfer beats Jack Hermanson, he's going to be ranked above him in the rankings. So Jack will probably go down to 12th, and then Joe Pyfer will go in 11th. And yes, Izzy's number 2. However, Izzy hasn't fought in a while. He's a bum. I don't think he's realistically going to get the fight, but I think him getting it out there is a smart idea to do. I know it's a little overrated to call out, number one, number two contenders when you're so far down in the fight list. But I mean, you can look even in the lightweight division. You have Benoit Saint Denis fighting Dustin Poirier, and I know Benoit is coming off like a crazy win, and Dustin's coming off a loss where it's kind of like, okay, let's see who still has it in the lightweight top division. So that's why Dustin's kind of getting tested, just like Gaethje did, and just like Beneil did, kind of, and Charles is getting tested with Armin. But I think if Joe plays it smart enough after getting a just dominant win, even like a 50-45 decision, or if he does get a finish, I'm not saying he's not going to get a finish. I just think realistically, I think it's like a 60% chance he goes to decision. And mainly because of Jack Hermanson being tough. But once he gets to this 11th spot, I think the first thing he should do is make a sick call out to Israel Adesanya. And if he does it correctly, I do think it'll at least spark news. It'll get his name bigger. Joe Pyfer will actually be like a big name. And to be honest with you, 185 is filled with bums inside the rankings and killers outside the rankings. Like Sharabutin, Magomedov, he's outside of the rankings. I think one day he has a chance to become champ. Bo Nickel's still fighting Cans. He'll probably fight Cans the rest of this year. So I think Joe Pyfer is the best middleweight prospect outside of the rankings getting ranked this year. Maybe unless Shara gets like Marvin Vittori, because they've been talking about that, but that's like a winger. But I do think Joe Pyfer, he'll get ranked number 11th after beating Jack, and then he'll probably realistically get either a Brendan Allen or like a Marvin Vittori after Marvin loses, or possibly the loser of Paulo Whitaker. And if it's Whitaker, I think it's even more justified, because if Whitaker loses to Paulo, it'll probably be by finish, and then it'll be like discussion of, oh, chin, whatever, and then Pyfer being a knockout guy going against Robert Whitaker, I think is a good test. So I think Joe Pyfer will have a great opportunity to fight everyone inside the rankings above him. I don't think he should fight anyone below him. Like, I don't think he should fight Chris Curtis, but like, I don't think he's interested or it's interesting fighting any one of these guys after he beats Jack Hermanson. I think, to be honest, with the way Joe Pyfer's uh, popularity will go, I think he'll just climb. Like, I don't see a reason for him to fight back in the rankings, unless like somebody else calls him out, like Paul Craig after a crazy win or something. But even then, it's I don't think it's really possible. But yeah, I think Joseph Pyfer is gonna win. I think he's gonna win by decision, because if you look at Jack Hermanson, I know he did just get knocked out to um Roman Dolidze, or not just. This was like over a year ago. However, he goes to decision all the time. Like, this might be the first, crack in his chin or something, and he is getting a little older. He is 35. He's not a young buck anymore. Um, but I do think decision is more realistic. I think if it goes to decision, it'll be in Pfeiffer's favor. Um, but yeah, I think Jack Hermanson tough. I think Joe Pyfer is strong as shit, and he's gonna showcase that. And then he's gonna call out the doggy diddler, Israel Adesanya. Izzy's getting up in age. He's gonna duck Hamzat because he doesn't want to fight Hamzat, obviously. So I think he's gonna get like he's gonna think he's getting a tune-up with going against someone like Joe Pyfer, being ranked the number 11th or whatever. I think he's gonna get chinned, and it's gonna be a wild KO. That's my prediction. I'm excited to see the fight in general. I think it's the only good fight this weekend, anyways. But yeah, that's my thoughts on what Joe Pyfer should do and what I see him realistically doing. I do think realistically he's probably gonna fight, maybe Paulo Costa, Robert Whitaker, whoever loses, and then either a Marvin or a Brendan Allen after Jack. But I think if he calls out Israel Adesanya, I don't think it's unrealistic for him to get that fight, and I think it's a crazy popularity skyrocket if he does, especially if he wins in a crazy fashion against um Jack Hermanson, because I think he shouldn't even make it close, like at all. Like, he should out grapple him in every scenario. He should be able to outstrike him in every scenario. Jack Hermanson just likes getting into brawls, and he typically will rely on his chin in brawls. But I mean, man, if you get finished by Dolidze, oh my god, if anyone watched that last weekend fight, that was literally the sloppiest fucking main event I think the UFC has had since probably the first 100 UFCs. So yeah, that's my personal thoughts. I think Joe Pyfer wins. I think he wins by dominant fashion. I think he goes to decision, and I think he should call out Israel Adesanya. And that's about all I got. So yeah.